The diner buzzed with noise, forks clinking against porcelain, laughter rising from polished booths. But at table 9, time crawled. A gray-haired man in a weathered coat sat alone, his hands folded, his gaze steady on the waitress who passed him. Again, without so much as a glance. 40 minutes. Not a glass of water. Not a menu. Not a word. People looked right through him. Like he didn't belong. But none of them knew. None of them saw who he used to be. His name was Sergeant Thomas Beckett, retired. 34 years of service. 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan, Silver Star, Distinguished Service Cross, the kind of man whose silence once commanded entire battalions. Now, just another invisible old man to a world moving too fast. He'd lost his wife 2 winters ago. Cancer took her quickly, mercilessly. Since then, the small rituals kept him going. Morning walks, folding the flag on his porch, and Thursdays at Daisy's Diner. Except Daisy's had changed. New staff, new owners, and apparently, new standards for who deserved attention. Still he sat there, patiently, with quiet dignity, because some battles don't need words. Across the room, a group of young men in crisp business suits laughed too loudly, waving over the waitress every few minutes. She came running with coffee, smiles, fresh refills. One of them noticed Beckett sitting there, alone, untouched. He leaned toward his friends and whispered something. They chuckled. Maybe he's just here for the free heat, one of them smirked. The waitress finally glanced at table 9. Her eyes met Beckett's, but only for a second. Then she turned away. His knuckles tensed. He'd faced enemy fire without blinking. But this quiet dismissal, this cut deeper than shrapnel. Still he said nothing. A couple entered, younger, mid-30s. They were seated, served, smiled at. The clock above the counter ticked on. 40 minutes. Then, the bell above the door jingled. A man in uniform stepped, inside. Imposing. Clean-cut. Medals pinned. The kind of man who carried presence like a shadow. Long and unforgettable. Colonel James Albright. He scanned the room quickly. His eyes locked onto Beckett. And in that moment, time shifted. The colonel's jaw tightened. Without breaking stride, he marched across the room, boots clicking on tile, and stood beside table 9. The entire diner quieted. "You still drink black coffee, Sergeant?" Albright asked, voice low, firm, filled with something reverent. Beckett looked up. "Always have, sir." Albright turned to the waitress. "Has no one served this man?" She fumbled for words. I didn't know, he didn't—" Albright cut her off. "That man," he said, his voice rising now, "taught me how to lead men into battle. He carried soldiers on his back under sniper fire. And you left him sitting here like a ghost. He didn't yell. He didn't need to." The weight of truth hit harder than any shout. The businessmen looked down. The waitress froze. Albright turned to Beckett. "Give me 10 minutes." He walked toward the owner behind the counter, an older man in an apron, confused, watching everything unfold. "You're selling this place, aren't you?" Albright asked. The man blinked. I was considering it." "I'll buy it," Albright said. "Full price. Today." "But why?" Albright's gaze didn't waver. "Because no man who served this country should ever be treated like that again. Especially him," the owner stammered. "You'd really buy it? Right now?" Albright pulled out his phone. "Call your lawyer." The room was silent. Then slowly Beckett rose from his chair. Not to leave, but to stand tall, beside his former commander, the same way he had on the battlefield. 2 weeks later, Daisy's Diner reopened. Same name. Different heart. Photos of veterans now lined the walls. A table in the corner stayed empty, with a plaque that read, "Reserved for those who served." Every Thursday Beckett sat there again. But now, not alone. People nodded. Waitresses called him Sir. Kids asked about his medals. And sometimes Albright joined him, for coffee and quiet stories of wars most never hear about. Something had changed. Not just the diner, but the way people saw him, the way they remembered. Some battles are fought on fields, others in silence, at lonely tables. If this story moved something in you, don't just scroll past, share it. Because kindness is a command no rank requires. Subscribe if you believe respect should never fade with age. And be the reason someone still believes in dignity today.